Hey everyone, it's Isaac from True Champion Gaming, and I have a really cool deck list today for you. It is Normal Rye. So I know you might be thinking, maybe some of you haven't even seen the Normal Spirit. I'll put it right here on the screen for you. This was in a demo deck, and so currently has not been reprinted, so the only way you can get it is through a demo deck or just, if someone's selling it either on TCG Player or eBay. I was able to pick mine up really cheap early on, so I'm glad I did. But yeah, this is a Normal Rye deck, which is not, well, the normal kind of decks you see. The benefit of playing Normal Spirit are things like, the biggest thing are the Baubles, so, wind, fire, and water Baubles. If people have those in their main deck or in their sideboard, then those are useless against you. Same thing with the trinkets, the water, wind, and fire trinkets. You don't have any of those cards in your decks, and so those are never going to be played against you. And even stuff like Prismatic Edge, the thing that, you reveal cards from memory, and if you have a fire, wind, or water card down there, then your opponent gets some kind of bonus. So we don't have any of those cards in our deck, and we're not that spirit, so we get the bonus of not having to worry about that kind of stuff. But yeah, let's basically jump right into the deck. We are running, like I said, Rye. We're running level 1 Rye, level 2 Rye, and level 3 Stormseer Rye. So we ramped to level 3 by discarding or banishing, our Arcane cards, Arcane spell cards, and because of that, once we get to level 3, we do gain a bunch of levels. So this is, the basic leader lineage there, and then we have kind of basically our draw package. We have GCR, we have Storm Tyrant's Eye, Chalice of Blood, and Orb of Regret. So our main draw, of course, is going to be Grand Crusader's Ring, right? This is easy. If we have a bad hand where we have more arcane cards than we want, or we don't have enough arcane cards, we can just go into GCR to gain, to draw an extra card a turn, so we can actually put some cards down that we want to banish. Storm Tyrant's Eye comes out when we are level 3. This is a really great card that, it's basically essentially drawing you a card for anywhere between 1 to 3 health, I would say, on average. The most I've taken from Storm Tyrant's Eye is 6 damage. And for people who don't know, Storm Tyrant's Eye says banish this. It's a 0 cost arcane mage artifact. And when you banish it, you reveal the cards from the top of your deck until you reveal an arcane element card. You deal unpreventable damage to your champion equal to the amount of cards revealed this way, and put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom in a random order. So this is really important to remember, because if you use this and you go through the steps of showing cards and you finally hit an arcane card, you don't have to take that arcane card. You can take any card in that whole series of cards. So very strong artifact or regalia to have in our deck. We have Chalice of Blood and Orb of Regret. Chalice of Blood is amazing if you can do it. It draws you 2 cards. So if your opponent isn't paying attention to your life health or your life total, then this will pop and draw you 2 cards. It does happen. People forget, or people don't care. They don't think it's going to matter. And it is a very, very dangerous card to let your opponent have. And then Orb of Regret. This is if we have a really bad hand. I don't actually go into this very often. Luckily, this deck doesn't play too many arcane cards. I think we're at 28 arcane cards at most. And so Orb of Regret is just there for us to, if we have a lot of cards we just don't need, it allows us to cycle, and if we're really struggling to gain those levels that we need to. Next, we have our Crystal Empowerment, just a very solid card, because we aren't, without Reckless Conversion, we aren't getting to insane levels very fast, and so Crystal Empowerment can help supplement some of that level that we really need to do some of our combo effects. So just very strong card there. Tome of Knowledge and Tome of Sacred Lightning. If you're going into Tome of Knowledge and you already are level 3, this is a great way to also bring this out for free. Or if you need more cards into your banishment, this is a great card to bring out even early, because it does banish 1 from memory, and we are gaining a level off of that as well. So basically, this can gain you 2 levels. I often play against the wind. I often bring these out separately, because if you bring this out, banishing this tome, this does get its effect, except for if they go to Zephyr this, then it'll come back in without this effect. So I actually like to bring these out sometimes separately. I have gone into, I would actually say I go into this more on its own rather than this. Cards are very important in this deck. I mean, I was with every deck, but especially in this deck because we are not, we get pretty low on cards in hand. And so bringing this out to -1, we are gaining a level, and we can just draw a card off of it. It can like replace itself. I don't do it too often, but this card, when you banish a card from memory, you gain a level, and then you're also drawing a card. So it's like a little bit, a consistent cycle is how I would put this. So both very strong cards in the deck. And then we run Safeguard Amulet. We run a lot of attack damage protection, but we don't run like any non-attack damage in the main board. So this is our one card in our material deck that can help us protect against some kind of non-attack damage, stuff from like a Fire Xander, or maybe even an Erupting deck, or what do you have there. So that's the material deck. But before I move on to the main deck, here's a quick word from me.
Hey everyone, it's Isaac, and if you want to support us, get merch, or pre-order the next set from GA, then you should check out our website. Over on our website, you'll find stickers, t-shirts, playmats, and material deck sleeves, and the next set of Grand Archive for pre-order. So make sure to check that out. Also, if you like content, then you should check out our Patreon. Over there we have an exclusive podcast series, extra gameplay videos, and articles written by us to help your competitive gameplay. In any case, if you like what we do here on YouTube, then don't forget to like and subscribe, as it does help us out a lot. Thank you.
Okay, so the main deck is pretty simple. Like we said, we're playing normal spirits, so we are only playing normal cards and arcane cards. So we run 4 Dungeon Guide. So Dungeon Guide can help us level up quicker, very important in Rye. If you are going level 2, like I only like to use Dungeon Guide usually when going into level 3 if I can help it. Sometimes just going into level 2 is worth it, but just know that having 2 cards down and then going into level 2 is the same thing. It's actually technically worse than playing this, putting 2 cards down to banish, because, or actually 3 cards down, because this is 1 card from hand. You lose 1 card from hand and 2 cards from memory, so you lose a total of 3 cards. You're going to level 2, and then if you were just to go to level 2, though, you would just lose 2 cards. Yes, most likely you played a card to get to level 2 anyway, but so you are losing 3 technically, but still, this is best going into level 3. Next, we run 4 Scry the Skies. I don't love this card. I feel like it usually ends up biting me a little bit. But the most important thing with Rye, I have found when in our testing, is that you basically just want to be able to play cards that replace themselves so you can level up. So this is a 1 cost, draws a card into memory. If you're level 0, if you're level 1, you can glimpse and put a card in memory. And level 2, you can do the same thing, go to glimpse 2. And then and then it replaces itself, essentially. So you play a card, you get to put a card down into memory, and then you take another card and put on top of there. So you have 2 cards that you can banish for either level 1 or level 2. So there's a very strong level 0 or level 1 play, because it allows us to get into our level 1 or level 2 very easily. But a bummer thing that can happen is that you can Scry the Skies, especially if you're level 0. You don't get to glimpse anything, but you do draw the top card into your memory. And if that's not an arcane card, when you put an arcane card down to banish, that's kind of a bummer. Next, we run 4 Fractal of Insight. This is a great card. Like I said, the most important thing you want to do in Rye is be able to put cards down without losing cards, a total amount of cards, so cards that replace themselves. And Fractals essentially replace themselves, because you're always gaining that effect that you can use later to play other cards. So Fractals are an amazing card. This glimpses 2. That has a very strong effect, actually. You're putting 2 down into memory for this, so going level 1, or going on your first turn or second turn is very strong if you're level 0 or level 1, because puts 2 down to either go into your level 1 or into your level 2, but also it glimpses 2. And that glimpse 2, similar to Scry the Skies, why we like Scry the Skies, we can basically look at the top 2. If we have a handful of normal cards, and we want more arcane cards, and we see there's more normal cards on top, we can put them to the bottom. If we have a handful of arcane cards and we need more normal cards to play, and we see normal cards on top or arcane cards on top, we can put which one on top of that we want to draw next turn to be able to banish or play something. So Fractal of Insight, definitely like an MVP of the deck. Next, we play 3 Develop Mana. So this is a card that's very cool in the deck. It is getting us that level counter because, like, Reckless Conversion is out, because we're not playing, that kind of Rye that just really just throws itself into level 3 and hopes for the best, because we can't really do that anymore. Develop Mana, because we are lower on Arcane cards and Banishment, we aren't usually that high, super high level, level 10 or something like that when we get into level 3. But Develop Mana allows us to supplement some of that level, that levels that we are missing. So very strong card. It's only a 3 of because, like I said, we like to play cards that replace themselves, and this card does not replace itself. It is giving us a level. This allows us to go, play this, gain a level counter, put 3 cards down, and then we could just go into our level 3. So 3 cost is a very strong cost to be at in Rye. It's very nice because you can go into level 3 off of it. Like I said, I usually like to go Dungeon Guide into level 3 if I can help it at all, but this is also a very solid card because 8 is the magic number. We want to be level 8 when we get to level 3, and so having 5 cards in Banishment, 5 Arcane cards in Banishment, and being level 3 is, obviously level 8. But if we have only 4 cards in there because we missed, we hit a normal card because we just wanted to level up, Develop Mana can help supplement that level. So very strong card. And then we play 4 Careful Studies, and I'll put the other 2 Pure into Mana on screen here. Like I said, we want to be that level 8. Level 8 is that magic number because we can cast Careful Studies for free, which is huge. This can be, if it's your first card of the turn, you can play this, and then it basically says draw 2 cards. It can also be used for other combos that I will show later on here shortly, but Careful Studies is very good. Pure into Mana, from what I found in testing, is very lackluster nowadays, now that we don't have stuff like Reckless Conversion to gain a ton of levels, so we are doing like crazy combos, and we don't usually have a ton of cards in hand, like I said, so this is always costing 4, which is not great. I tend to use this while being level 2 to gain 5 counters, because it gets 2 on itself, and then plus however many your level is, so if you're level 2, you gain 2, so that's 4, and then if it's your first card of the turn because of Rye level 2, where you're gaining that Enlighten counter because it's your first mage action card of the turn, then we are gaining another one there. So a total of 5. And this is kind of basically, you play it, it replaces itself, which is very good in this deck, which is why we like it. But it does cost 4, so we do have to put a lot of cards down, so that can be kind of rough. So Careful Studies is really what we're looking for. I always try to keep that card if I can because it is so strong. Next, we do play 3 Library Witch. We're getting kind of into our defensive package here for the normal cards. Very good against any kind of aggro deck that is trying to hit face, against anything like a Fire Lorraine that hasn't been able to put anything on board. This means they have to commit something to board instead of, to kill this off so they can swing face for a lot of damage. So a very good card. It's only a 3 of because we do have other defensive cards, and this is only a 2 cost, and it only stops 1 attack, which is a big deal. We need cards that stop more attacks or more damage, and so this is can be a card that can replace itself, but against something like a Rye or something that doesn't really care about attacking face, this is a very dead card. So it's only a 3 of. We do end up running 4 Resolute, and I'll put the other card on here, 4 Peaceful Reunion. This isn't that surprising for a Rye deck. This is very strong because we can block so much damage for so many turns in a row as long as we do see them. If we have a handful of these, we just take our time leveling up. We bring out GCR, we might bring out Book or Tome or whatever, just to slowly level up and not go too crazy because we have so much protection in hand. Bad thing about this is we can draw all these. And like I just said, yeah, while we can go slow, these are very, very dead cards against anything that isn't attacking face. Peaceful Reunion is great against, like something like a Fire Lorraine, Aggro Lorraine that's going fast and trying to hit face because this protects us for a whole turn, while Resolute will only protect us for part of that turn, or partial damage of that turn. So, but very good cards, obviously, and we do swap those out for some cards in our sideboard later on. Next, I'll get into the Arcane package. We do run 4 Arcane Sight, just a very strong card, allows us to cycle, gains us levels. If we are level 7, we can use this and we can play our, and it replaces itself and is our first mage action card for the turn, and then we can play a Careful Studies for free. If we are, level 7, get 1 level off of this, go to level 8. So strong card there, really like that card, wouldn't cut it at all. And now we're getting into a huge combo of the deck, which is Power Overwhelming. I mean, Power Overwhelming in itself is not too crazy. You remove Enlightenment counters, you gain levels equal to Enlightenment counters. Remember, if this is your first action mage spell of the turn, you can cast this, you'll gain a level, and then you can remove the Enlightenment counter. You won't gain a level. The first mage action of the turn, you'll gain a Enlightenment counter, and then you can remove that Enlightenment counter for a level. So if it is your first mage action card of the turn, this should always guarantee you at least one level, but most likely it's going to be guaranteeing you more because you have other counters on your champion. But this combos really, really well with Advent. So Advent is kind of the MVP of the deck. It's kind of how you start going and start doing a bunch of damage. This is a card that you basically are always using with Power Overwhelming. I have used it without Power Overwhelming. It doesn't feel great, but sometimes you just need to do what you need to do. And you play this. Let's say you played a Careful Study, so you have 6 counters on your champion. You are level, 10, 8, 9, 10. You can play this. It's your first mage action of the turn, so you go up to 7. You remove 4, and now you're going to level 13, 14, and then you put a couple cards down for Advent, because this has efficiency on it, and then reveal the top level cards of your deck. So for level, let's say 13, and we put 2 cards down, or we have Fractals on board, we can tap those as well. That's why Fractal's so good. We can play Advent for 13. We reveal 13 cards from deck. And now we can start getting that combo going where we're putting a bunch of cards in the graveyard. We left 3 counters on our of Enlightenment counters on our champion. So now if we put a card to the very top with Advent, we can draw a card, which is again very strong. So that is the power combo of the deck, and it does come up very often in the deck. Next, we'll get on to the kill spells other than Advent. Advent is really nice because also it can. I should bring that up. Advent can target. Or is not target, it is choose. This gets through spell shields, or spell shroud or whatever. So you play this, you can, if they have a Majestic Spirit on board, this is dealing 2 damage per card arcane card you banish. And so if you play Advent, and then you can kill their Majestic Spirit, it does all of its damage at once, but you can choose to hit their champion for 1 damage because it is halved because the Majestic Spirit is still out. But let's say you just need to push 4 more damage, and you see 4 arcane cards on the top of your deck. You can banish those, deal 2 damage each to the enemy champion. It is halved because of Majestic, but so it'll go down to 1, and so you are able to actually hit the enemy champion with Advent. Arcane Blast is target champion, so this is protected by spell. Units are protected by Spell Shroud, but that's okay. It's still a very strong card. After Adventing, or if we're going into Crystal and we can use this, for it to cost 1, sometimes this is all you need is just 2 Arcane Blasts to, shoot him in the face. We also do run 4 Erratic Bolt. This comes up less often, but in the really grindy matchups, maybe something against a Wind, Erratic Bolt is your MVP because it can get over stuff like a Veiling Breeze. I've gone against some Wind Merlins that can put down 11 Wind cards, and so Arcane Blast is just completely null and void. But Erratic Bolt, if you've Advented first, put a bunch of cards into your graveyard, and so you're level, 18, 20 or something like that. Erratic Bolt can definitely do some serious damage there. And also banishes and draws you 2, so you can do a little bit of mini combos there, and it can also gain you levels if you're putting arcane cards down. Next we run 4 Spell Shield Arcane. This is just protection of the deck. If people aren't paying attention, if we get to level 3 very fast, this does only cost 2. And if we put a Fractal on board and 1 other card in hand, or you got some Enlightened counters, you can draw so you have enough to cast this. And something like a Fire Lorraine, or they Fireball you, or they Devastating Blow you, this can give you a ton of Enlightened counters to pop off and deal a bunch of damage if they're not paying attention or playing around it, which does happen a lot. And then finally, we play for Anger of the Skies. This is often the card I discard. This card I banish, I should say, when leveling up very, very often, which is totally a fine card to have in the deck. The only reason why I do run it is because, we do have cards like Resolute and Peaceful in the deck, but when we get to level 3, those allies are still on board if they're doing a swarm type deck. And so Anger can just deal 4 to all of them, and usually kills everything. They may be able to save one or two things, but if they try to displace their unit, this still kills it because it's not targeting them. It's just going for the entire board, including your own board. So if you had like a witch on board, this can kill it. That's also an important thing to remember with Advent. You can ping your witch for 2 to draw you a card, which is very strong. For one of the, if you banish an Arcane card, you can ping that. So, you might put a card to the top that you really want to draw, but you don't have any more draw cards left. Or you might, you don't have a GCR, you don't have an Storm Tyrant's Eye, you don't have 3 Enlightened counters. Library of Witch and Advent can draw you that card. But also, Anger of the Skies can draw you that card. If they're not attacking your Library of Witch for a very long time, and let's say you only thing in your hand was 3 Library of Witch, so you had to play them down to level up. When you get to level 3, you do have this, though. You can just kill your board, draw 3 cards, and that's very nice. So finally, that's the main board. Let's move on to the sideboard. We do run 4 Blanche. This is for those, erupting, for the Rye, for the, maybe for the Fire Xander that is, doing a bunch of, explosive traps to mark the targets. This can block at least a decent chunk of that damage. Usually, this isn't stopping like a Fireball, because we do go, like I said, low on cards in hand. We might find a time where we're getting pretty high in cards in hand, but this is usually blocking 3 to 4 damage of an attack, which is sometimes all you need. And then we do basically run stuff for the fire matchups. So if they are running erupting, if they're running the fire, any kind of fire graveyard strat, these are the cards we bring into our material deck. Grail Lantern is very strong to put in the deck. If you're against Fire Lorraine with graveyard strats, you bring in this over GCR and bring in Amulet over, or this instead of Amulet, and you can just run this instead of something like usually like Chalice of Blood, because Chalice of Blood I often find, or maybe even Orb of Regret, but Chalice of Blood, if they're killing you before your level, you're 20 health, they're just hitting you down instantly to not allow you to pop Chalice of Blood. So I sometimes bring that in for that. And then finally we have Terra Fring. Just a little more anti-aggro. If we're against wind, there's no reason to keep Amulet. Wind has, I believe, almost 0, if they're on normal wind stuff, or like Crux Wind, they have almost 0 non-attack damage. It's all attack damage, so Terra Fring is very good for that, and so Amulet becomes pretty useless in that matchup. But that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you like it. I actually really enjoy playing it. I definitely suggest trying it out. If you don't have the Lost Spirit, just maybe either you can try to find one, or you can go to a locals and see if everyone's okay with that, or if you're just testing with a friend, just say we're going to pretend this card is a proxied Lost Spirit. But if you do get a chance to try the deck, let me know how you like it. Let me know if you have any changes. In any case, guys, have a great rest of your day. Peace.